Let's get
lyrical, so lyrical. How he gets so lyrical.
Back to you for your final choice.
Well, funny enough, I had For the Roses, but I don't know.
Oh, we can do that.
It's more, it talks about fame, basically.
Okay. Well, no, then we got to do it.
And,
Got
because I'm famous, I thought,
Because you're fucking
one in
famous.
one.
Remember the days when you used to sit and make up your tunes for love and pour your simple sorrow to the sound all on your knee. And now you're seen on giant screens and at parties for the press and for people who have slices of you from the company. They toss around your latest golden age speculation. Well, who's to know if the next one in the nest will glitter for them so?
Yep.
Another one.
Another one.
Amazing. I mean,
Truly.
and then it's not just the lyrics and the voice and the music. I mean, I heard it in the wind last night. It sounded like applause. I mean, that to begin with.
In considering where she ends the song,
Yeah,
the wind sounds like applause. The moon shining down into water looks like an empty spotlight.
yeah, yeah,
What a story did those two metaphors tell? Or similes?
yeah. I mean, where does
Who do you think? Do you think it's about herself or about? Or about James Taylor?
I think it's probably about James Taylor.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, she recognizes that as well. I mean, he asked some guy to circulate his soul around. I love that.
Like a record company executive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing.
circulate your soul around. I mean, yeah, that's basically what they do. They just fucking throw out, your guts.
And then these lyrics: "On your mark, red ribbon runner." The caressing rev of motors, finely tuned like fancy women in 30s evening gowns. You almost don't hear the strikingness of those lyrics because she's singing them in this soft, pretty voice. But it's a very aggressive command, on your mark, red ribbon, like describing the rat race of it all, or the drag race of it all.
Yeah, and also when she says, I really love that. Also, the in the beginning, she says, "Girls, from girls who just have to tell me." She puts the have. She puts so much emphasis on, because you can hear these girls say, "But I have to tell you, I saw. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you." Like I hear the way she says that, she uses that.
So you tell me when we start to shade into relatable stuff for you. Like, is that something you've
Oh, it's
experienced?
nothing relatable. I'm not relating to this at all. No, it's obviously there's a heartbreak there. There's this. She hasn't seen him in how many dim years?
Seems like many dim years ago. Yeah.
So the fact that other girls have to tell her that they saw him, of course, brings up stuff, and then he circulated soul around. Da, 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 da.
That reminds me of the Bob Dylan song, "If You See Her, Say Hello."
Yeah, yeah. There's another thing that I would like to refer to in a minute.
Yeah.
Talking about this circulate your soul around. And then your name's in the news, everything's first class. The lights go
I
down.
love that. That's always been my favorite line, especially the way it's sung. Your name's in the news, everything's first class.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The lights
And
go
then
down.
getting them to feel like that to the others, the other lower kind, just the audience, trying to make them feel like that everything's
the anonymous crowd in the darkness that you can't even see. It's your job to make them feel the way they came to feel.
yeah, but also to get him to feel like that. I mean, that's what I read into that, like to that
Feel
as a
important?
feel important, feel seen, feel
Yeah.
um
Right. You're gracing them with
yeah,
you're seeing them. Yeah.
yeah. I
Or your
remember
music makes them. Yeah.
when you used to sit and make up your tunes for love, pour your simple sorrow to the sound hole and your knee. It's like it sort of brings it, so it brings it back to the yeah, the truth, the where it all started, the small you pour your simple sorrow.
To the sound hole of the guitar, right? Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah.
My God.
I don't know what sound hole, what other holes make that kind of sound. But anyway,
Open
uh,
up the sound hole.
terrible. Um, and now you see on giant screens at the
Now
parts
you're
of the club.
seen on giant screens and at parties for the press. These internal rhymes and alliterations are not by accident.
No, I get.
Parties for the press and for people who have slices of you. That pressure that comes from hearing the same sound over again.
Hmm.
Again, it's not just choice of images, it's choice of sounds.
Yeah. For
And for
people
people who have
with slices of you.
slices of you from the company. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You toss around your latest golden egg. Speculation, well, who's to know if the next one in the nest will glitter for themselves? It's just, it just makes me sick. It's so sickening. This and of course it is always hard to, as a actor, whatever, um, artist, or anyone who has had some kind of fame, to to complain about it, because that's always a bit tricky. It's always difficult to watch bands that are, that are falling apart, because you're like, who am I? Who cares? You're the
Yeah, well, but it's a fine line between complaining and telling the truth about it.
sure,
See,
no, yeah, 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 yeah.
complaining is like Axl Rose was always complaining about like the controversy around him, like, and singing constantly whiny songs uh, about how he's judged and whatever. Well, dude, you courted that. That's part of your brand.
Hmm.
Like, sack up.
Hmm.
Here, there's no complaint.
No,
She's
no,
really
I'm not
just,
saying
yeah,
in general. Like normally it's hard to. Yeah, that's true. But it's hard to hear people like Axl Rose. Everyone's like, whatever, fuck off.
yeah,
Um,
fuck off.
but I have also noticed for myself, and I guess that's how I sort of relate on a micro level. Um, when I was very young, yeah, and this everything I say about it sounds always tricky for me to talk about it, because yeah, talking about prizes and awards, how they don't really, yeah, has this have meant, they have meaning for me, and they have, it's a confirmation of the job that I did at that time, point in
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
But from because I got them quite young, I so vividly remember that moment where I saw that statue. It's a golden calf. We had, like, it's a beautiful, actually a beautiful bronze whatever thing, and it was on my I was actually sick when I got it, so I was all sort of in a blur, and I thought they gave it to the wrong person, so I was confused about that I was having it at all. And then I brought it home and I put it on the where you put those things above a chimney, and remember waking up and really, I was so disillusioned that I was like, oh, but so my life is just exactly the same. Like,
yeah,
it didn't solve anything.
yeah.
And that was such an early realization for me. And it's hard to say that to other people who are, trying to win an Oscar, trying to win, because it is, of course, a motivation for a lot of people to get
Sure.
something to, and because I've, from an early age on, I've always known, like, that it's not, I can't eat it. It's not
No.
actually fulfilling me.
Yeah. Well, look, I completely relate. I haven't had the fame you've had, but I won a big award for my lyric writing in 2013 called the Edward Kleban Prize, named after the composer, the lyricist of A Chorus Line.
Yeah.
It's $100,000 award.
Wow.
It's the biggest cash prize for musical theater lyricist
Mhm.
in America, and it's given to the most promising lyricist in American musical theater. Now, first of all, no pressure. Don't break your fucking promise, kid.
Yep.
Now, first of all, no one's ever heard of it. It doesn't, and some years the New York Times will have a tiny little one-line article on who won it. My year, there was no mainstream attention to it. And also, musical theater is a tiny little world. But really all it denotes is we think you have potential. But I believed, my ego wanted, because I had wanted this award for so long. And when I won it, my mother was so happy. I still have screenshots of when I'm telling her, and she's just like dancing around in her chair, and you know. Um, and I thought, on some level, that it was going to open all kinds of doors and change my life. I believed that, and I
Mhm.
believed it would give me an. Now it didn't. At the same time, I like the fact that I won that award.
Yeah.
So it's not like just because you acknowledge that it doesn't fill up the inner void that you have to say, oh, it's worthless. It's not worth
No, it's not at all.
valuing. But I think people who are striving for that stuff, I have a very good friend of mine who won a Pulitzer Prize and a Tony for a musical of his that's on Broadway right now. Michael R. Jackson. I've had him on my show before. I'd love to have him on our show. He's a huge Liz Phair fan, enormous Joni Mitchell fan. He's a Joni Mitchell connoisseur. Anyway, he said to me a few months ago, he said, when it happens for you, it'll never be like you think it is. Just know that.
Hmm.
Don't stop pursuing whatever you're pursuing, but just know that it's not going to fulfill whatever emptiness you think it's going to fulfill, and it may bring up new ones.
Yeah. Yeah, because it for me later on, um, where I first thought this is an accident, and then I got another prize, and I thought, oh, maybe I did something right, and then yeah, okay, this sounds like now like a look at me, but I've got five of these things, five of these calves, and the last one when I was in the room and they were, any competition, of course, you want to win. You're not going to think, oh, I really want to be third place. I really want to be third.
Sure.
If you're nominated, you want to win.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So here I am nominated, but I was so conflicted. I was not in a good place at the time, I think, but I was so conflicted because I thought, if yes, like ego or the sort of wants to win, but my fear of going on stage is taking over, and the fear of people thinking, oh, but she's won again, that's not fair, fuck her, she's not that good anyway, that all that stuff took over from me wanting to win. So I was actually hoping not to win, and then I won it, and I went on stage, and I literally I feel like I was doing my speech, which was not funny, it was not witty, it was not sharp, it was a complete it was complete anxiety, and I was doing my thank you thing. I felt like I was literally looking down and looking up sort of once in a while, and my whole radiance was, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
that's a parasympathetic shame response.
It was
That's your body protecting itself from a feeling of incredible shame.
It was so interesting. And of course, then afterwards, and it was broadcast on TV, whatever. And then afterwards, I wanted to go home. And because everyone was sort of looking at me like, you're the most celebrated person in this room, you cannot not be happy now. There's no way, because you are the person who has the most fucking awards in this fucking country, and you won again. And I couldn't handle it. I was feeling so low, and I went home. I went home early, and a few people that knew me well, like my sister and a director I worked with, those were the two people who texted me and said, "Are you okay?" Because they saw the speech. but yeah, just so I have a very a very conflicted relationship with fame, or with myself in that, you
Now
know.
here's my question for you.
Hmm.
You've met a lot of famous people in your line of work, probably, in fact, some people who are even much more famous than you. You worked with Tom
Yeah,
Cruise, right? You were in
most people are more famous than me.
yeah. You were in that Tom Cruise movie, Valkyrie, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. You've met all kinds of stars.
Yeah.
You must have come across people who either don't show it or actually genuinely don't, who just eat it up, whose egos are insatiable and who never get enough of it and who don't have that imposter syndrome. And I think that sounds to me like a more dangerous kind of person to be than someone who's there and can feel that she's conflicted. Have you met, what's your sense of how the Uber celebrities, who now basically are celebrities for a living, not just actors?
Hmm. I mean, you never can get really close to them, so
Yeah. That's one way they cope.
you get one layer of the cake. You know, I can't even really make an assessment. Is it a word?
Yeah, that's the word.
I yeah, it's the same with a biography. If I read a biography, I'm like, it's interesting. Were they actually? What is true of this? Even an autobiography. You know, I've been done interviews in my life about my family. Of course, I'm not telling everything. Of course, I'm leaving out most of it. Of course, I'm smoothing things over. Of course, I'm protecting certain people. We'll never actually know people really well. Anyway, also another awards thing. I was nominated for or I got a prize. In fact, a theater prize, and I called my mom to tell her that I won, and I cried, and not from joy, but because I felt like I overstepped, like
Wow.
I was past my mom now, or something like that. You know, all these weird. I felt
Huh.
sorry for my mom.
Guilty.
Feel guilty. Yeah, guilty.
Huh.
Yeah, which might, I don't think my mom really. there, she didn't give off that vibe at all, like that she was in any way. I think she was very proud, but it was very interesting that I was just sad and very uncomfortable. Anyway, so that's why I picked those songs, because they do something to me.
Oh yeah.
And of course, yes, this is next level. This is next level, but it is on micro level. It's the same thing.
Oh my God.
And then she says, uh,
Well, first of all, I just have to point out, you started talking about it seems churlish, it seems, silly to complain. Well, what's her very next line right
yeah,
after you were talking about that?
used to
I
seem
guess I
ungrateful.
seem ungrateful with my teeth sunk in the hand of the that brings me things I really can't give up just yet.
Yeah.
What a complicated thought.
Hmm.
Here, my teeth are sunk in the hand that brings me things I really can't give up just yet. She's told, again, she's calling herself on it. She knows she's a hypocrite.
She's so self-aware. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and now I sit up here, the critic.
And they introduced some band, but they seem so much confetti looking at them on my TV set. I wonder who she meant. Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin?
I don't know. I'm really not Led Zeppelin. There's a few things that you're gonna know of me, but along the way, and you're like, what? You're gonna be surprised by a few things, but it doesn't matter. Um,
I like Led Zeppelin for the record.
I can say Led Zeppelin. I honestly don't know what they look like. I cannot immediately pick up the song. Is that Led Zeppelin? What is it again? Famous song?
Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
that but
yeah, of course. Which is actually a beautiful song.
it is a beautiful song, but I think there's a lot more to them than that. But I wouldn't say that lyrically they're much to write home about.
Right. Okay,
They
but
actually have they have a
oh,
couple of songs. They have a couple of songs that reference J.R. Tolkien. They have some like fantasy,
all right.
uh, you know, that's a little Game of Thrones tie-in. Dragons and orcs and elves and
I don't
stuff
know
like that.
about that.
You know nothing about that.
No, honestly
What
don't.
the hell is
Um,
that?
they said looking at my, oh, the power and the glory. just when you're getting a taste for worship, they start bringing out the hammers and the boards and the nails.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, when you're getting a taste for worship, it's so unfair. It would happen to anyone. Like, no one is immune to that.
Nobody.
No one is immune to that. And it's so, and they start bringing out the hammers and the boards and the nails. And she goes on.
The
There you go.
hammers and the boards
We're just
and the
going to finish
nails.
this thing. It's going to, it's ending. It's the end of it.
Well, she's talking about a crucifix, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a nice way of describing cancel culture.
Yeah, exactly. True. Good point. Oh,
The emotional dynamics underneath cancel culture. It's like you've been held up for too long. Now it's time to tear you
yeah.
down. And we love to do both. We love to lift you up and we love to tear you down. And it's all the same to us. And you don't really exist as a person.
Yeah.
And then just like with Hijira, these are two very interesting. It's an interesting paired example because she ends the song by recapitulating the opening lines.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it in the wind last night. It sounded like applause. Chilly now, end of summer, no more shiny hot nights. It was just the arbutus rustling. You know what the arbutus is?
No?
Let me show you something. Look at that.
Yeah, amazing. Wow.
So they have this beautiful red bark, and if you peel it away, first of all, there's like rough brown bark, and then underneath that there's this smooth, cool red bark, and then underneath that there's a beautiful green. Anyway, she has a place on the Sunshine Coast near Vancouver, and that's where she retreated after Blue. After the success of Blue, she went there, and then she has the line about the moon, shining down like an empty spotlight. And absolutely perfect of a song.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to come to topple that after our first episode. But anyway, there's more out there, people. There's more out there.
Absolutely, and there's great things to discover in the sublime and the mundane. But I mean, we'll be good. There's an endless supply of conversation worthy lyrics.
These words are my
Podcast
with Carice and Daniel.